Andy, and good morning also from my side. I think the order was obvious. We went in alphabetic order with A and B and A and S, and then now we're coming to Schneider. I'd love to think it was best for last, but it was alphabetic. So it's good to be back at the forum. I've come here since 20 years, and I think it's one of the premier forums in the automation world, and it's migrating into the digital world. We tend to say at Schneider Electric we are a very simple company. We do two things. We do energy management and we do automation. And those two are really coming together at many of your facilities. And I'm happy that Jason already talked earlier about the slide that I've brought up. Our mission in life is we think electricity is a basic human right. Everybody on the planet should have access to electricity at any point in time, at any place, and we want to make this available. And there are still 2.3 billion people on the planet that don't have access to reliable energy. 1.3 billion of those have access to no energy at all. And that means quite a lot of things. It's the basis for education, it's the basis for communication, it's the basis for industrialization, it's the basis for wealth. So that's what we want to drive forward, while at the same time the need for energy is increasing significantly. You see here 50% more in the next 30 years to come, while resources become much more scarce. So we need to make sure that we are much more efficient in using those resources, be it the natural resources that we require for the energy, the way we utilize the energy, and the way we control processes and factories to drive down utilization while bringing up the output of those factories. And through the connectivity, I think we have all the opportunities to drive that forward. We've been talking about this for years. So in 2020, we think there are 30 billion connected things out there that will support us in driving the energy chain that goes in bidirectional today. So that's a big change. And in digitizing all the factories and digitizing all the buildings, which are the biggest consumers of energy out there. And obviously, the last statement, probably most important on this slide, software runs everything, or everything is run by software. Even if you talk about simple products that in the past were totally electromechanical, or drives where you had a little bit of semiconductors in there. So even for sensors, actuators, we already deploy more than 25% of software development in those. And if you go to PLC controls, into DCS controls, or grid controls, building automation systems, that's basically become a total software game today. We package it nicely in a piece of equipment that is very useful in the industrial usage. But when you listen to Kenny this morning, it's not about the packaging; it's about the software that's in there and how it can be distributed, virtualized, and run in different instances in your system. So we'd, and then of course there is the software in the digitization space that drive things forward. Now, in discussing the digital journey with our customers, we see a lot of people that say, "Oh my goodness, I hear all those buzzwords, and I have no idea on how to move forward." And then there are the others that are riding the wave. And we've come up with a simple architecture for ourselves that we're discussing with a customer. We call this EcoStructure. It's not a platform, even so it's a platform to bring people and partners together, but it's an architecture on which basis we want to discuss. So products that have in the past been non-connected or just connected to electricity become connected not only to an edge control, but with a click to cloud be available and furnish data to everybody out there in the market. Then the edge control level, which is the And the products, not necessarily only from Schneider Electric. We love to have 100% market share, but I realized a couple of contenders also here who want to grab some of that. So it's important that as we connect those to edge controllers, there may be our own, there may be other edge controllers that are out there that are in the factories, and the owners of the plants out there. You have just an infrastructure out there that goes 30 years back with all kinds of different systems. So it's important that we're bringing up this information to what we say apps, analytics, and services level, where we can drive incremental value through simple applications or through pretty large software packages as we go forward. What is very important in our view is the domain expertise that you need to bring to the party of your facilities, of your process, and of your way to make money in order to capitalize on all that data that's available through the products that generated third-party data, the edge controls on the software level. And obviously, it needs to be in a cyber-secure manner, something we'll be discussing, I think. And then also it needs to be available on-premise, it needs to be available in the public cloud, it needs to be available in the private cloud, and it needs to be available hybrid, whatever the customer wants. So from that perspective, that's the architecture we're trying to discuss with our customer, to bring the diverse systems together that you have out there installed. And it's not only about us, but it's also the ecosystem of partners that we're trying to work together with. So if we're talking about the software layer, or then talking about a platform like others do as well, it's not about invading the customer with the platform, but rather talk about the application that is out there. That may come from us, but it also may come from our partners out there. So we've used our Wonderware franchise that many of you know and have elaborated and sized this up, so we can use that as a franchise to use it as a system platform to aggregate data, to have 5,000 development engineers out there at our partners that are certified and that can do applications for our customers. So you'll have partners that are very close to you out there to do these developments. And I'm almost a little bit hesitant on the last slide, because you've seen it in one or the other form by the others, but that maybe also gives a little bit of credibility to it when we talk about this software layer, in particular in the process and hybrid markets. Some have not shown the build, and some have more talked about the operate. We love to talk about the complete value chain that you have in the life cycle of an asset, where you do the design of it, the process design usually, where you bring the chemicals together, you bring the pressures, the temperatures together, and translate this into a process and instrumentation diagram. And I've talked about this 3 years back. I'm happy to talk about this year with the addition of the AVEVA 3D that we have reverse merged as Schneider Electric, so we can also talk about the build process, or 3D, a design tool that allows us to design the asset and then bring this with IIoT to life. So you'll see a digital asset of the plant that can actually in real time simulate and show you what's happening in the actual plant as you move then into operation and the life cycle of the plant, where you do performance asset management, where you do scheduling and all these kind of things. So this has become a complete end-to-end software portfolio that's available out there. Not as a huge monolithic system, but as modules of hundreds of pieces of software that we can pick and choose for the individual application and the individual need that the customer has, with a little bit of customization to the application. Having said all that, Andy, I think I'm done with my 5 minutes, or maybe 6.5. I don't know.
Can we? Yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you.